right, well, after one heck of a long plane ride, we have made our way across the Pacific Ocean, and I am currently in a country that I have never been to before, and I am so excited. We are in Japan, specifically in the city of Tokyo. And over the next few days, we're going to be traveling throughout Japan, looking at some of the history here, more specifically the history connected to World War II. That's a little bit more in my wheelhouse, but learning some other things along the way. Now, but before we get going, I want to make a few things clear. One, when it comes to Japanese history, that's like not my thing at all. So I'm here to kind of learn along with everyone else. And also, on this channel, I've kind of become known for the way that I pronounce different names and places. When we were in Scotland, I had a lot of Scottish people gig me for the way that I pronounced Glasgow, which was remarkable to me that so many people in Scotland didn't know how to pronounce the name of one of their major cities. But anyway, today we're going to go to a pretty prominent place here in Tokyo. My goal is to eventually get to the grave of Hirohito. But first, we're going to take a look at the place where he lived at the Imperial Palace. All right, we have just rolled up to the Imperial Palace grounds here. And the history of this place goes all the way back to the mid-1400s when construction began on a castle that became known as Edo Castle. Well, history continued on, and they continued to add on to this place. So if you look out here, well, we have this moat, and it's starting to rain on me right now. It's humid as heck today. Anyway, this outer wall, construction began on it like in the mid-1600s, if I remember correctly. And then in the 1860s, under a man by the name of Meiji, well, there was some big changes that took place. The Meiji dynasty began, and they moved their center of operations here to Edo Castle, and this became known as the Tokyo Palace. So the gate that we are looking at right here is called the Soko Sakuruda Gate, I believe. So this was one of the defensive fortifications, again, that it was built in the mid-1600s, that was designed to protect the inner grounds. It had some damage during the Great Kanto earthquake of 1923, and then was repaired. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and dodge inside here and see what there is to see. We've made our way a little further inside the palace grounds here, and the bridge up here that we are getting ready to cross is called the Nijubashi, which I guess means double-level bridge. So this bridge was originally made of wood during the Edo period, but since they were unable to build a single bridge of the proper height, what they first had to do was build a bridge lower down and then build a bridge on top of that bridge to get the final construction up to the necessary height. And then, of course, now as you see, it is made of stone. But anyway, this is one of the key features here at the Imperial Palace. All right, update. Right after I shut off the camera at that last spot, holy smokes, the skies opened up, and there was an insane amount of water that was falling from the sky. So anyway, I got rain jacket on here that honestly isn't doing a very good job. Also, there's part of the Imperial Palace grounds where you have to take a tour, so I'm kind of with this big group right now. We're following a lady who has a microphone that is all garbled and I can't understand what she's saying. But anyway, we're going to do the best we can and see what we have on this part of the palace grounds. Now this is pretty cool. What we are looking at here is something known as the Fujimi Yagura, something like that. Now originally this was a 3-story keep, but it burned down in 1657 and then was reconstructed in 1659 as a watchtower. Now the reason it's called Fujimi is it's supposed to offer a view of Mount Fuji, but you can't see it anymore because of the skyscrapers in Tokyo. But So this is the Imperial Household Agency building. You can kind of think of it as like the headquarters here on the Imperial grounds. And this was built in 1935, and during World War II, well, the Imperial Palace is going to be destroyed, and the third floor would be the kind of location where the Imperial Palace would be held until they get a new one built. I know this is really interesting. This building that we are looking at here is called the Fushimi Yagura. So that bridge that we looked at earlier is right back over here. All right, and as you would have crossed in old times through that gate, well, this is the building that you would have passed by. Now, it's said that the Fushimi Yagura was actually moved here from Kyoto in the early 17th century by one of the shoguns. So yeah, pretty cool. All right, moving on. So we just crossed through that gate right over there. And when I say that they are moving us through here like cattle, I am not even kidding. There are a bunch of groups all with different language speakers that are moving through here, and it's crazy. But anyway, this building right here is called Choudin Hall, and this is like a big gathering plaza right out here. So the Emperor and the Empress will come out here on New Year's Day and also on the Emperor's birthday and greet people. And I'm sure they told me something else about it, but I couldn't understand because it's all, like I said, it's all kind of garbled. I do know that that tower over there is called the Lightning Tower, I think, and was built with money raised from public funds. And holy smokes, here comes the rain again. All right, crud. I piddled around too long, and now I'm in the Chinese group, so I legitimately have no idea what's going on now. All right, tour of this part of the palace grounds is about done here. Like I said, they moved us through here really quick, so I didn't have a whole lot of time to film much. I was hoping to see the spot where Hirohito delivered his surrender message at the end of World War II, but yeah, that wasn't happening. But anyway, we're going to move on to the East Palace Garden now. All right, we have made our way over to the East Garden. The rain persists, and here on this end of the palace complex, well, one of the first things that you'll see as you enter in through the gate is this guardhouse. So this is one of 3 guardhouses that survive from what was called the Tokugawa shogunate, which lasted from 1603 to 1867. And if you would have been a visitor to the palace grounds, well, as you walked through here, like these people right here, well, you would have been stopped by some low-ranking samurai, and their job was to check visitors to the castle, make sure that, you know, nobody who wasn't supposed to be getting into the center of the complex wasn't getting in. But anyway, yeah, pretty cool. I don't know how much we're going to be able to film here because the rain keeps kind of messing with us a little bit. All right, so we just made our way through this secondary gate here. There's the guardhouse that we were just looking at. And again, if we would have been a visitor here during the period of the shogun and the samurai, well, this would have been the next guardhouse that we would have walked by. This is called the Hyakunin Banshu Guardhouse. I think I'm mispronouncing that correctly. Anyway, this is the largest of the guardhouses, and its name translates to 100-man guardhouse. All right, so again, visitors who are coming through here, they're going, you know, from one level of security to another, and this guardhouse would have been manned day and night by about 4 shifts of samurai, each one consisting of about 100 low-ranking samurai and then 20 higher-ranking samurai. Okay, so security is getting a little bit tighter as you move into the center of the palace complex. All right, again, continuing to progress to the center of this area, there's the guardhouse that we were just looking at, and this right here was the third and final guardhouse. So this one here would have been guarded with only high-ranking samurai. So the closer you get to the emperor, the tighter the security gets. Yeah, this is all very interesting. We have made our way up to the top of the hill, and this field that we are looking at here is called the Hanmaru Oshibafu, and this is where the heart of this complex once stood. So this is where you would have had the shogunate's Edo castle. So this is about 32 acres that we're looking at here. And if we would have been here, you know, in the 17th century, in the 18th century, well, there would have been a big palace that would have stood here before us. And of course, it's not here now. But anyway, this was where Edo Castle was located. So here on the grounds, they have a scale model of what the castle that would have stood here looked like. So the castle was built in 1638, or was completed in 1638, had 5 stories, and if you include the castle and the stone base, this thing would have been the equivalent to like a 20-story building. So this was considered to be the tallest building in Japan at the time. And then at the top, that's a little bit hard to see from this angle right here. Maybe I'll get a different angle. But there are a couple of mythical sea creatures that are up there that symbolize that this was the most important building in Japan. Yeah, so this is what would have stood outside on that 32-acre field. All right, now there are a lot of things to look at here on the palace grounds. I think this is going to be the last thing that we're going to point out before we move on. What we are looking at here is the site of the keep of Edo Castle. So the keep tower was the tallest that had ever been built in Japan, and in 1657 there was a fire that destroyed the third tower to stand on this site. So the fourth shogun, a guy by the name of Tokugawa Itsuna, started working on a replacement and had finished this foundation right here in 1657. Okay, so what ended up happening, why we don't see a structure on top of it, is that the shogun's uncle pointed out that Japan was kind of stable and peaceful and no longer needed these big structures. So construction was abandoned, and what we have left is this foundation. Now, even though there are some old structures here like this foundation behind me, when you come to Tokyo, most of the buildings that you see are going to be post-1945. Tokyo in World War II was largely a wooden city and got firebombed and pretty much just got destroyed. And part of the destruction was the Imperial Palace grounds. So again, this is where Hirohito was. So many of the structures that were here during the Second World War got destroyed by the bombings and fire bombings by the Allies. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and pack up here. Head, I don't know how far it is, but head off to the east and take a look at the final resting place of the man who lived here during the Second World War, Emperor Hirohito. All right, we have made our way to the west of the Imperial Palace, which was about an hour train ride, and we are approaching the Musashi Imperial Mausoleum. which is the final resting place of Emperor Hirohito. Well, here before us, on the other side of this torii gate, at the top of the hill, is the mausoleum that is the final resting place of Emperor Hirohito. Hirohito is kind of a complex historical figure. He was born in 1901, was the grandson of the Emperor Meiji, and lived until January of 1989, making him the longest living emperor in Japan's history and one of the longest reigning monarchs in world history. Now, Hirohito is going to ascend to the throne on the 25th of December, 1926, and is going to be in power during a very tumultuous time, not only in Japan's history, but in world history. In 1931, when the Japanese invade Manchuria, under false pretenses, by the way, Hirohito is going to offer no objection to that. And when tensions begin to rise with the U.S., well, he expresses some reservations, but in the end kind of goes along with the decision to declare war on the United States. Okay, during the Second Sino-Japanese War, okay, when the Japanese are invading China, it's his call to, or with his sanction, to use chemical weapons on the Chinese. Now, after the war, well, there was some debate about what should happen with Hirohito. Now, of course, Hirohito is going to be on the throne all through the Second World War, and then is going to end with the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki on August the 6th and August the 9th of 1945. And on the 15th of August, a recording of Hirohito's surrender speech would go out over the airwaves in Japan. And for many people in Japan, or for almost everybody, this was going to be the first time they ever heard Hirohito's voice. And he said, "Moreover, the enemy has begun to employ a new and most cruel bomb, the power of which to do damage is indeed incalculable, taking the toll of many innocent lives. Should we continue to fight, not only would it result in an ultimate collapse and obliteration of the Japanese nation, but it would also lead to the total extinction of human civilization." And then he told them that Japan must, quote, "endure the unendurable." Now, after the war, there's going to be some debate about what should happen with Hirohito. Some thought that he should be brought before a war crimes tribunal and tried for war crimes. But there were others, Douglas MacArthur, chief among them, who thought that basically excusing him from his actions and keeping him as the emperor would help to facilitate a peaceful occupation of the Japanese home islands. You also have to keep in mind this is going to be the onset of the Cold War, so the U.S. also has to worry about China. They also have to worry about the Soviet Union. And we're kind of looking to maintain and develop a friendly relationship with Japan. So Hirohito dodges the hangman's noose. He was regarded as a god in Japan. So if you go and you execute a nation's deity, well, that's not going to result in a very peaceful transition. So anyway, he did have to renounce his divinity, but remained as the emperor of Japan until his death, and became an outspoken proponent of peace. But anyway, this is the final resting place of Hirohito. All right, well, there you go. That was the final resting place of Emperor Hirohito, one of the figures that looms large in the history of the Second World War. That was really interesting, both the Imperial Palace and coming here to this place. But we have a whole lot more that we are going to be seeing. We got some more around Tokyo that we are going to be looking at, and also we're going to be paying a visit to Hiroshima and Nagasaki.